Hi, I'm James and welcome to the first video of my What It's Like series. Basically, this is a series of videos where I will be discussing what it's like to live with a variety of different health issues or conditions or stuff along those lines. So for the first video of the series, I'll be discussing what it's like to be visually impaired or to have highly distorted vision like I do. This is something that most people will never experience and can't really get a grasp on what it's really like to live with these issues, but I'll try to kind of explain them and the best I can so people can kind of sort of understand what it's like to see the way I see the world. So I personally never had any vision issues for most of my life. I was quite nearsighted or myopic for a good deal of my life, but this is not something that I would consider a visual impairment, as it was easily corrected with regular lenses such as glasses or soft contact lenses. And this is something that a lot of people deal with, and it's not something that I would consider a visual impairment. As I said, it's something that can easily be corrected or fixed with regular lenses. I basically started to develop a bunch of complex vision issues approximately a year after I had refractive eye surgery, or laser eye surgery as more people know it by. I had a procedure called PRK, and my vision was fine for a while, but then about a year or so after the surgery I started to slowly develop vision issues, and unfortunately the surgery has pretty much destroyed my eyesight. I'll definitely get into more details about these procedures and obviously why they're so bad and why I'm against them in a later video. So I basically just started to develop one vision issue after another and just kept developing more and more vision issues due to complications from the surgery and also due to a condition that I developed called visual snow syndrome. And I believe that the surgery was the catalyst for me developing visual snow syndrome. It's a neurological condition that nobody really knows how you develop, but it's something that I believe the surgery had caused. So I'll get into kind of all the crazy stuff that I see on a daily basis. I've included pictures of each separate vision issue or distortion in order to allow the viewer to kind of get a better idea of what it is that I'm seeing, as it's kind of hard to just describe these issues just with words alone. So I will show you all the crazy stuff that I see, and there's quite a few people that do have some of these issues, but like 99.9% of people don't have as many of these issues as I have, or to the severity that I have them. I somehow got really screwed over, and I don't know why, but it's just what happened. Most of these images were taken from a website called visionsimulations.com, and it's been a great resource for me, and it's been very helpful because I can kind of modify like the extent of these issues that I have and be able to show them to people. And I do have every single vision issue that's on the site, so it's been quite useful. So that's where most of these pictures that I'm about to show you had come from. I'm going to start with the vision issues that I experience more in darker environments. So the first one is just general impaired night vision. So basically everything I see is much darker than what other people see, and it's something that makes it very hard to navigate at night. I often end up bumping into things in darker environments just because I cannot see any objects when it's dark. And it doesn't even have to be a pitch black environment. It can be, you know, not super dark, but I still won't be able to see anything due to my impaired vision at night. The second vision issue I have, which is kind of related to the last one, is halos with lights that are in darker environments. And the reason that this distortion is more pronounced in darker environments is due to the fact that the pupil dilates or gets larger in darker environments, whereas in lighter environments it constricts. So when my pupils dilate to a diameter that's larger than the optical zone or ablation zone, or whatever term you want to use, where the surgeon removed the corneal tissue, when the pupil dilates beyond that zone, then I will have these, it causes these distortions with lights. So basically anybody like myself who has very large pupils should not be a candidate for these surgeries, because they will automatically cause these distortions with lights. But this was something that my surgeon never told me, and I did not know until I did my own research after I started having issues. It's one of the more common refractive eye surgery complications, and honestly it's one of the least bothersome for me, in my opinion. This next vision issue it's kind of also related to halos. It's caused by the same mechanism as the halos, and it's basically starbursting, or seeing starburst around lights. So certain light sources, instead of giving off that halo, which is kind of like that large luminous ring around a light source, instead it will look like a bunch of rays shooting out of the light source. And only certain light sources will do this, and it's most notably headlights will have that crazy starbursting like effect to them. So this next vision issue also kind of makes it tougher to see in darker environments, and it's decreased contrast sensitivity. So basically, if you ever played with the editing on a photo, or if you're editing a photo and you play around with the contrast option or setting, if you were to turn that contrast setting all the way down, that's kind of like what I see. So basically everything's kind of like gray and dull looking. Nothing is bright or crisp or as vibrant color wise as it used to be. So everything just kind of looks gray and weird, and it's harder to kind of distinguish between objects due to the decrease in contrast sensitivity. These next vision issues are ones that are more pronounced in lighter environments. So if you were to, say that my vision is worse in darker environments, I mean, you're right to some extent, but it's only certain symptoms are worse in those darker environments, where there's other ones that are worse in lighter environments. So unfortunately, there's no, it's no win for me, because it doesn't matter if it's a lighter or darker environment. Either way, some of my vision issues are going to be worse in either environment. So this next one's pretty straightforward, and I don't have a picture for it, but it's just increased light sensitivity. So I'm more sensitive to light now than I used to be. So going out in daylight or where it's very sunny is extremely uncomfortable to me, just because it's just my eyes are so much more sensitive now to light than they used to be. This next vision issue is kind of related to the last one, and it's excessive glare. So everybody experiences glare to some extent, but I experience it way more than most people do. It's just the glare from any type of light source makes it harder to basically see other things. So, for example, if somebody's standing next to a window and there's sunlight coming in, I probably wouldn't be able to see what their face looks like because there would be so much glare surrounding them. This next issue is something that, a lot of people have who never had eye surgery or visual snow syndrome. It's basically their eye floaters, which is something I never really had before the surgery, and now I have a ton of them everywhere. And it's also something that's more noticeable in brighter environments. So it's just a bunch of black dots and squiggly lines all over my visual field. And this is most noticeable when I'm looking at a computer screen, or if I'm out in a bright environment, or if I'm looking at something that's kind of just monotone and just like one color and it's bright, such as the sky or snow or the ocean or something like that. That's when the eye floaters are most noticeable. So this next vision issue is actually not something that I really experienced that much or to that great of a severity. It's called double vision or ghosting, and it looks way worse in this picture than what I actually experienced, thankfully. And I only really notice it with brighter objects against a darker environment. So, for example, when I really notice it is like if it's white text against a black backdrop. So I have this t-shirt, and it's a black t-shirt but it has white font, and the lettering looks almost like double, and it's kind of hard to describe, but it looks like basically the image is doubled with the letters. Like there's letters that are kind of superimposed over other letters. This next vision issue I have is actually something that people with normal vision issues have, and it's just decreased refractive power. And this used to be my only vision issue, and I was able to correct it with glasses or soft contact lenses. But unfortunately now my refractive power is decreasing, but regular lenses don't help with this issue because my corneas are damaged from the surgery. They're no longer normal corneas, so regular lenses don't give me that increased refractive power. So the only thing that helps are these customized scleral contact lenses, which I wear, and unfortunately they only help to some extent. They don't give me the full like 20/20 vision, but they're better than nothing. And it just seems like the refractive power has been going down in my eyes ever since I started having these issues, and it's just slowly been declining over time. So this is also another common vision issue, but something I want to discuss or note because it was something I never had a problem with before laser eye surgery, and it's basically just a loss of close-up vision. I used to have perfect close-up vision even though I couldn't see far away, and then after the surgery it just destroyed my close-up vision. So it's very hard to see up close and to read and whatnot. And also the only thing that helps a little bit with the close-up vision is the scleral contact lenses, but they don't fully correct everything. These last two vision issues I have are the ones that I find the most debilitating and hard to deal with. The first one is called visual snow, and it's supposedly neurological in nature, meaning the surgery shouldn't have caused this, yet I do believe there's a link between me getting the surgery and the onset of this, as I developed it along while I was developing all the complications from the surgery. And it's a rarer symptom, or a rarer condition, but I do know people who have visual snow syndrome. And the visual snow syndrome is the condition that can encompass a lot of different symptoms, but the main symptom of visual snow syndrome is visual snow, and that's basically where everything looks staticky and pixelated. Basically it looks like it's snowing, hence the name visual snow. and it's kind of like the image looks like, you know, one of those old television sets where they have like the channel with all the static and stuff, and that's kind of what I see. And it's most noticeable in darker environments and against, like, you know, a monotone background, something that's not varied but like one color or whatever, and that's when the static is most noticeable. And this last vision issue was actually the last one I developed out of all these issues, and is the one I find the hardest to live with. And it's called trailing images, or technical term is Polynoxia. And basically anything that moves, I will see multiple after images of that thing that moved. So, you know, like in the picture, a hand that's moving, I'll see multiple hands basically, and it's very tough to deal with. It's kind of gives me a feeling of depersonalization and kind of detachment from reality, and it's just throws off my equilibrium, throws me off balance. It's just, it sucks. I mean, all the issues suck, but this is definitely my least favorite one. And I notice it more actually under certain lights. I think like fluorescent lights, the after images are actually more pronounced, and I'm not sure why that is, but it's something that I'm looking into because I'm just trying to figure out as much as I can about all this stuff in order to see if there eventually might be something that could, you know, mitigate these symptoms. So you can imagine that having to even deal with just a few of these symptoms would be tough, but having to deal with all of them at once has just been an absolute nightmare, and it's just been extremely difficult to live like this. It's caused me an immense amount of stress and anxiety and depression and kind of like PTSD symptoms that I've developed from the surgery itself. I mean, these vision issues are constantly on my mind because I see them all the time. Anytime my eyes are open, I have to deal with them. So it's not something that's easily, that I can easily forget or ignore. I also do suffer from dry eye and resulting eye pain as well from the surgery, but I consider those issues minimal compared to the vision issues that I have to deal with. So I guess my goal with making this video, and just kind of in life in general, is spreading awareness about the dangers of refractive eye surgery, about spreading awareness about what visual snow syndrome is, and that it's a real condition that people experience, and also just being an advocate for people who have what I call invisible disabilities. So looking at me, you'd probably never think that I was physically disabled, but it's just, you never know. You can never really understand what somebody is experiencing or going through. Most of the time, by just looking at that person, they could look like they're completely healthy, and you would have no idea they're experiencing the things that they're experiencing. I've been trying to kind of live as much of a normal life as possible, and to not let these vision issues bother me too much. However, I don't believe that I'll ever fully be able to get used to all this stuff after, you know, having lived most of my life with what I consider perfect vision. It's a very tough adjustment, and I'm just trying to accept my fate and not let this bother me too much. But it has taken a lot of the joy out of living, just because it's very difficult and to deal with this. And my hopes is that, you know, somebody will find this video beneficial, and, you know, maybe it'll possibly help prevent somebody from experiencing a similar fate to myself. And I just want to spread awareness about these issues and just, you know, inform people, because most people have no idea that any of these issues are actually a thing, that they can even happen. And I want to spread awareness, and I feel like, you know, that's kind of a goal of mine, and it's something that keeps me going. So thank you for watching the video, and I hope you found that informative.